seagulls follow the trawl, it's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Thank you.
Nobody cares, mate.
Nobody cares, mate. Nobody fucking cares, mate, honestly.
And the guy's talking absolute nonsense. Never heard so much rubbish in my life.
Normal men.
What do you mean, normal men?
We're just innocent men.
I'm telling you, don't back down, double down. Don't back down, double down.
Here we go. It's P.M.P. I'm not backing down. I'm doubling down, Terry. I've got to, mate. I've got to wear the Aaron Mooy t-shirt again. It was a brilliant finish for him today. And, you know, for all the talk, Terry, all the bluster, all the bravado and all the bullshit from Mr. Beale, there's one thing you cannot deny. There is nothing he can do about what is happening in this league title race, mate. We're coasting it. And all that's happened is there's been a wee bit of a sideshow, you know, him talking the talk and all that, Terry. But one thing is for sure, under Ange Postecoglou, Celtic can walk the walk. Welcome to P.M.P. The face of P.M.P. is with me, Terry. Terry, I've got to tell you, by the way, I need to get your twin's number. He appeared on the TNF, by the way, midweek. I don't think he drinks like you, mate, but he was brilliant. He was really good on the show, pal. So
you don't want to get to know that guy.
But good to have you on, big man. And by the way, Connor Carr, yellow card, mate. First ever official yellow card. He asked to come on the P.M.P, mate. I've sent him the link. No sign of him. So, you know, what can we do, mate? You know, I think we're going to need to give him an official warning, a public official warning to Connor Carr, mate.
We'll just have to soldier on without him.
We just need to, mate. I think we'll manage. As always, as well, all that good stuff. Hit subscribe, hit like, share, slag my hair. Who cares? Do all that good stuff. It does help the channel, and we appreciate it. If you want to become a member, like Phil McGinley still is, I'll never let that out. Gary Brown, Kevin 14, Belly, Theresa Lyle Photo, David Ferguson, Martin K. They're all members, and it does help support the channel. We really appreciate it. But anyway, all that out the road. Let's talk about Pi Sports, mate.
Boys, I'm so jealous. I'm so jealous during the week. You guys all putting your orders in, and I'm stuck over here. I'm going to message him and ask if he'd send me them. I don't even care if they're out of date by the time I get them. I just want to join in the fun.
Mate, they're so good. You know, Pi Sports, the one thing you can say about their pies is they're there and they're always there. And God bless every one of them. Do you know what I mean? Because
they look amazing.
Just went for a Scotch pie today, Terry. Brown sauce, you know, so I'll be chowing into that, mate, when you're giving us your patter about the game. But yeah, I mean, let's talk about the football, Terry. I mean, today, again, I didn't think Celtic were mind-blowingly brilliant. It's a 4-1 win on a tatty field away to St Johnstone. We only won 2-1 last time with a late goal for Giakoumakis. Do we need to go into him today? Do we need to talk about him today? No, surely we'll do a show without talking about Giakoumakis. But I just think today was yet another example, Terry, of why Celtic's going to win this league title, and it doesn't matter what's happening over the neighbour's wall, whatever way you want to put it, Ange. It's all about what Celtic do, and today I just thought it was definitive.
Do you know what it feels like, boys? It feels like when you're just going up the motorway. You're a mature, well-oiled car, just cruising along the motorway, and some little boy racer comes up on your outside, giving you the fingers, doing wanker signs at you, thinks he's a big lad, and as soon as he just gets close to you, you just put the shoe down and make an absolute bail, and he has to go back into the slow lane again. Honestly, Mickey's all bluster, he's all noise. I do give him respect. I've said it the last few weeks. I give him respect. He has got the results. They are getting a serious amount of credit for what they've done under him. But the part that people are missing is that we've just cruised along through the same period. And the only game where we dropped points was in the game against them. And today was just a stroll, Sunday afternoon stroll up in Perth, in a fixture at a ground which should really be a banana skin and has been for other sides. But I think that's 13 wins in a row now that we've got up there, which is superb. Today was all about the 3 points. The pitch was very awkward to play on because it didn't look too bad to the eye, but the bobbles and the bounces were so unpredictable. I think at one point even Callum McGregor gave the ball away, which just lets you know how bad the pitch was. To go up there, score 4 goals, absolute cruise control. I just think there's gears in the team. And even when St Johnstone had the temerity to score and come back into it again, we just upped it a level, went and scored another one. And second half was a bit similar to the one during the week. It kind of just played out at our pace with us dictating what happened. It was nice to get another goal at the end after about another 3 minutes of VAR looking for stuff that wasn't there.
We're going to talk about that again.
All in all, we're actually further clear again because we have another 2 goals advantage built up today. So really happy with it. Yeah, it wasn't magnificent, but it was competent. It was, there was never any danger whatsoever.
No, I mean, Ange, I listened to him post-match on the BBC, and I don't know who was in doing the punditry. There was obviously Packy Bonner there, right? And I don't know who the other one was. I thought he sounded a bit like Stephen Thompson, but he does presenting these days, so it must not have been him. But, as Neil Lennon once said, I'm off it, but I'll have a couple tonight. I'll have a couple of pints of that guy's tears. I tell you this, because he's like that. His reaction to the game was, the one thing you'd have to say, though, is how's Ange going to keep all them happy? A lot of players not getting it. How the fuck is that your instant reaction to it? And I mean, you know what? You definitely, where his bread's buttered, obviously. Do you know what I mean? So I'll have a couple of pints of his tears tonight and make a wee toast to whoever that was. I'll find out, Terry. If someone knows in the comments, let us know.
You touched on it a few seconds ago there. What happens is if you're not happy, you get moved on. And I don't know if you're aware. I seen a post on social media earlier, so it looks like Giakoumakis has taken to the old Instagram again and put up a picture of the lineup the last day that he started a game. So it looks as if there's a bit of a argy-bargy between him and the manager, but we know what way that's going to end in the next few weeks.
Absolutely, and yeah, I mean that's definitely not what we're going to be worrying about. As players, I think Ange has done very well at keeping them pretty happy. And then if there is any sort of, as you say, voices of dissent or anything like that, see you later, mate. Off you go. Nobody cares. So, looking at the what Ange also was saying though on the radio, I know I went off on a tangent about that muppet who was talking. Is that Guinness? Very good, Terry.
Do you know I'm actually in? I'm in the plastic glass here, just to make it feel as if I was out for the day.
Aye, I like that, mate. I like that. That's very good. I think it was Kettlewell, says Jim C. Thanks, Jim C. Aye. I can't believe that was the instant reaction. It just sounded a wee bit better, shall we say. But the good thing was, Ange also says, this is the thing though. He says, you talk about the pitch, and today we could easily have approached this game with a change of style. You know what I mean? To accommodate obviously the difficulties that the pitch would have, the hurdle that brings. But we still proved today by playing football, you can always still play your football. And whilst it might not have been helpful in us doing that, the end result is still the same. And I think that's really key, because it's not just whether a pitch is like it was today, Terry. It could be if the opposition you're playing are at it and on their game, you know, and it could be, right, we're going to need to change our approach. It could be if the opposition, which is rare for the rest of this league domestically, play a really high press on us and force us back. It's these sort of hurdles, as Ange called them today, that we need to be really resolute in what the mindset is, what we do in the training ground, and how we're going to approach every fucking game the exact same. That's how we're going to win more points than not. Today was an example of that, and I was glad that he said that at the end of the game.
Bhoycie, I don't know about you. I thought we were a little tiny bit more direct today. I thought we were prepared to go a wee bit longer earlier. Don't know, just something that my observations certainly in the first half. I was watching it thinking, are we going slightly a wee bit quicker front or back to front here? And again, if we were, probably with the pitch in mind. But no, once I thought St Johnstone started quite well. I thought first 10 minutes, you know, they were obviously in the game at that stage. But once it's the same old story. Once we got the breakthrough, got the second one. Yes, they scored. Yes, we'll probably touch on that goal and whether we think it was savable or not. But even at that point, at 2-1, absolutely no stress. You just sort of felt we were in control at that stage, and we would probably today. I know Kyogo missed a good chance just before half time, and there might have been a couple of others, but it wasn't a game. I thought we were clinical today in terms of the chances. We probably weren't. We didn't waste as many as we do. And again, four goals in complete cruise control, and probably again just worth pointing out. I'm sure it's on your list. David Turnbull again comes on.
If you think I've got a list, I think
he's got 3 goals. I think he's got 3 goals in an assist in his last 45 minutes of play, which probably, you know, we've had that sort of debate. If he keeps doing that, then he has to get an opportunity, doesn't he?
He's got, you know, we will talk about that goal. We'll maybe try and do them in chronological order, Terry. But definitely, I loved that finish. Sorry, I'm bringing up my pie here. Mate, best Scotch pie I've ever had in my life. I'm not even joking. So good. You should get them at Celtic Park, by the way. I am telling you right now, because that is an upgrade. Do you know what I mean? It should be a treat when you go to the football and you get a pie. Do you know what I mean? Not like, the fuck is this? Anyway, yes, when it comes to the goals, Kyogo, you're right. He misses that opportunity in the first half. See the goal he took? That wee touch, smashes it in the roof of the net effectively. That was ruthless, Terry. Do you know what I mean? And he's quite a conundrum at times, Kyogo, because his numbers, anyone would tell you, don't lie. But that works 2 ways, because he was obviously, 5 games, maybe 6 in the Champions League, 0 goals. And domestically, he's scoring effectively a goal a game right now, something like that. So it's like, you're thinking to yourself, wait the new. Like, that finish that he did today, and then the miss that he also had, which wasn't just a miss, it was miles off, I think sums him up kind of quite well when it comes to his finishing. Off the ball, I think his movement's terrific, Terry. And I think he's a nightmare for defenders to deal with. And I think he is very much the epitome of what Ange is looking for in his number 9. But that goal that he took today, absolutely instinctive, impulsive, and the word that we've used so many times this season, ruthless.
Now, you've used the word ruthless. I have a word written down on my page here. I described it as vicious. Vicious finish.
Love that.
The thing about Kyogo, actually what was more impressive was the part that he played in the first goal, Bhoycie. So he drops really deep into his own half, picks the ball up, then he plays a crossfield pass out wide. He then continues his run, gets played back in again, and he probably expected him to pull the trigger, but he decides to cut it across for a better placed colleague, and Andy Considine just goes in there and rifles it into the net. And spare a thought for poor Andy Considine. He scored a goal for Celtic. He scored a goal for Celtic. He had an assist for Celtic, and he ended up with a red card. Not a bad afternoon for old Andy, yeah?
Well, Andy Considine is funny as anything, because I thought Aberdeen were in the shit this season, right? I do still think that. They've been right rotten. And I like big, handsome Jim Goodwin, as you know, but it's been right rotten. But I've been listening to the phone in this week, the old Clyde one, right? So many Aberdeen fans, Terry, have been telling us all week, you know, us, the listener, by the way, I mean, they've been telling us that we should never got rid of Considine, man. Should never have got rid of him. That was the first mistake Jim Goodwin made. Now, I don't watch much St Johnstone, Terry, you know, but from what I've seen today, if he's the answer to Aberdeen's problems, I don't know what the question is anymore.
He'd a
Fucking
bit,
hell.
he'd a bit of a mare, didn't he? Do you know what was even more embarrassing?
600th game as well. 600th, it was a landmark game, Terry.
I don't know if you picked up on this, but our game's obviously gone out probably the part one of a Sky Super Sunday with the two Premiership games coming up afterwards, culminating obviously with ending with Man City and Tottenham later on. But St Johnstone have a free kick, and the criteria for taking that free kick is two guys playing rock paper scissors to see who gets the shot away. You can imagine what the guys down south are making of that on a Sunday afternoon.
The thing is with that though, there's something I think that's very marketable about that as well. I know, don't get me wrong, the big wigs down south who watch are used to just, players rolling about, diving every 2 seconds. Do you know what I mean? More bothered about their hair than the football, which you can understand to a point. Then they're watching, maybe caught a wee glimpse of that Scottish game, and they're like, did they just play rock, paper, scissors there to decide who's taking the free kick? I think there's just something glorious about that as well, though. I think that is a real example of Scottish football at its maddest and its best, Terry, as well. Do you know what I mean?
Aye. It's hard to beat.
Right, okay. When it goes to 2-1, on the how worried are you scale, and we know Bob McBob will be in the comments and he'll be telling us, yous were shiting it today, it was a bit rocky. I didn't feel nervous at all, Terry. I don't know about you, but I thought the goal that they scored kind of came out of nowhere. It looked like it wasn't like he lined up the shot particularly long. He kind of took it early. There is a bit of swerve on it. Oh, fuck it. We'll just ask the question. Should Joe Hart have saved it or not, Terry? Over to you.
For me, he should have saved it. I mean, I think the root cause of the goal is Hatate gives the ball away in midfield. I think that's the thing about Hatate. He's always trying to get on the turn and make things happen. When it happens, it's good. When it doesn't, we've give possession away in a dangerous place. That being said, I don't expect my goalkeeper to be beat by that shot. He did get a hand to it. I don't know if it moved. It wasn't a case of it, it didn't bounce or anything like that before it went in. If it bounced on that pitch and went in, probably I could understand. But I was surprised it went past him, to be honest. I would have expected him to save it. That's not me saying he's a bad goalkeeper. I just would have expected him to save that shot.
Everything's binary, Terry. Everything's binary. Remember that. If you any criticism of Joe Hart, for example, that means you think he's shite. Anything you think Ange could do maybe a wee bit better, that means you don't trust Ange. Whoa, what the bus, yeah. Do you know what I mean? But I thought he should have saved it. I thought it was my initial reaction was he gets down very slowly. I don't know. Fair enough if he's not expecting it, but what's the old saying, Terry? You get taught from a young age when you're playing football. Be on your toes, was he on his toes? I don't think he was on his toes, Terry. I think he's got to be more reactive to that. He's got to be quicker. Do you know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, from the St Johnstone boys' point of view, what was his name? Right, something right. I can't remember.
Dre Wright or something, was it?
Dre, I love that. Forgot about him. See what I did there? Forgot about Dre. But I thought it was a brilliant strike for his point of view. But definitely, I think Joe Hart should be saving that. And listen, it's not, as you say, a bashing of Joe Hart per se. It's just, that's the example we've got. We conceded the goal, first time in 7 games, and we thought the keeper could have done better. Have we praised the defence and Joe Hart for the 6 games? Maybe not enough. Well done in the 6 clean sheets in a row. Outstanding. But I thought Joe Hart could have saved it, Terry. Mr. Wee Red comes in there. He's been keeping an eye on my timekeeping, I noticed before we went live. I hope you're good, mate. He thought he maybe glanced off Cameron Carter-Vickers' chest.
Bhoycie, you getting a bit of noise in the background there? Bhoycie, can you hear a lot of noise in the background here?
It's not loud. It's not particularly loud. I just heard it there for like 2 seconds.
Give me 2 seconds. I'll go and scatter these. There's the neighbours' kids and everything's round.
But Mr. B-Red, I thought, to be fair to you, better put Terry on mute whilst he tells kids to fuck off. Do you know what I mean? I think that'll go down well on the channel. But I thought I had a bit of what's the word? I think it was a bit of swaz that he put on it, a bit of swaz, and I think it just swerved away for the keeper. But I don't think it was a deflected strike, Terry. I put you on mute there just in case you were telling kids to F off on air. Do you know what I mean?
That's exactly what I was doing.
I love it. But yeah, I mean, obviously, we then retake the lead. The main man does it. And you've got to be honest, Mooy, there was a couple of moments in the game. I thought his pass for the first goal as well was brilliant. The wee reverse pass, he just delayed it Do you know what I mean? He just delayed it nicely. And then when Kyogo's put it through, obviously, Considine's flicked it in at the bottom corner for us. Nice one, mate. But I thought his finish was just deft touch. That was, Terry. It was
You've gone for deft. You've gone for deft. What do you think I've gone for this time? Sumptuous.
Shoot. I don't know. Sumptuous. Love that.
Sumptuous ball from Jota. Sumptuous finish from Mooy. It was a thing of beauty, both the pass and the finish. Absolutely brilliant. And the one thing I said to myself during that game today was, I have to say, when Mooy joined, I kind of had him. I had him in the 6. He's definitely not a 6. He's a 10. He's a 10. He's just got so much creativity. That, as you say, that incisive pass in the first goal, and he's just looking for that killer ball all the time. Honestly, joy to watch at the moment.
And the thing is, what he also does is he's kind of a conundrum in the sense that we're a high tempo team. You know, but they're all buzz bombs. You know what I mean? Everyone's like flying about the pitch, and you know, obviously in a structured manner. But there's so much energy. This guy's just cutting about with a cigar, mate. He's cutting about with a cigar. He's reading the game. He's seeing it, sees it in pictures, you know. And I really have, you know, you can't deny it. Since the World Cup, he's been in our top 3 or 4 players without a shadow of a doubt. And I think his confidence, you could see really peaking with that finish. You know, that cushioned we dink over the keeper was, you know, brilliant. And at that point, if you want to go down the narrative that the games was getting tight then and was a bit cagey and was Celtic worried, well, that finish tells you everything you need to know, Terry. Aaron Mooy, though, is not worried or concerned or feeling the heat whatsoever. When you're pulling out finishes like that away from home at only 2-1 up, I think that tells you right now there's an assurance about his play and there's assurance about the Celtic side right now as to where the destiny of this title is going to go.
I think Bhoycie 2 or 3 months ago he would have squared that. He would have squared that for Kyogo to tap in, but he's just playing with so much confidence. I think that's 6 goals now. I know there's 3 penalties, but there's also 3 goals. If you remember back the first half of the season, he didn't look like he was ever going to score. You know, he wasn't getting in the positions, he wasn't doing anything. Can you imagine how good this guy would be if he could move?
It's interesting.
If somebody took the trailer off, imagine how he would get about the pitch if he didn't have the trailer attached to him.
Can you imagine, like at the Australia camps and that, like him and Tom Rogic doing a beep test?
Oh, stop.
They're hopeless, eh? Like I could beat the 2 of them on a beep test tomorrow, I think. Definitely.
Can you imagine being the holding midfielder having to play behind Mooy and Tom Rogic? You need your sleep the night before that, wouldn't you?
I mean, might be very pleasant on the eye watching them play football in their slippers and that, but you'd definitely spare a thought for if you were playing the holding midfielder behind those 2. That would definitely be a nightmare. He just came onto a game though, undeniably. And listen, I'm always happy to praise players when they play well in a Celtic shirt. It doesn't matter. If I still think he was an underwhelming signing at the time, I think the optics of that still are underwhelming when you look at it. But at this moment in time, is he playing to a level I didn't think he was going to be capable of? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm delighted to be proved wrong on that.
You're allowed to get things wrong, Bhoycie. Nobody gets everything right.
No, and you're allowed to change your mind as well.
Yeah,
absolutely. Do you know what I mean? That's the thing. I think if people who can't change their mind, I think.
Do you know who the happiest person will be that you're wrong? Yeah. You.
Aye, of course.
You know what I mean?
Exactly, mate. Exactly, because what you're seeing is as always what happens. I mean, we've seen this last year when, you know, you entered Hatate and Maeda era, the Giakoumakis era of the team. It was like, you know, you see different evolutions of the side actually in one season. And undeniable, I think we'll reflect on this campaign as being when Mooy came in for O'Reilly and the team dynamic changed again. Do you know what I mean? I don't mean the first half, as you say, when he's playing number 6 and stuff. I mean, when he's been playing this further forward role, I think we'll look at that and go, he was a big, big part of that team. And he wasn't someone you identified as part of the Celtic team for big games before because, as I say, I think he played about 20 minutes in the Champions League. He was there, but he wasn't considered for those games. Would he be considered for them now, Terry? I think so.
Pretty sure he would, yeah, absolutely. And he could be the kind of player that makes the difference for you.
Aye, no, definitely, Terry. You going for like the world's shortest answers today? Usually I kind of get you to shut up, mate. I'm like, is he done? Is that his turn for Thursday back? What's happening here? Honestly, that Guinness isn't strong enough. Didn't he tell me it's the alcohol-free stuff, Terry?
No, anybody that drinks that, honestly, I wouldn't speak to anybody that drinks that alcohol-free Guinness. Can you imagine?
No. I would just rather have a tin of juice.
Or a pint of milk. If I'm
Aye,
going on
aye.
alcohol, I just go for a pint of milk.
Pint of milk.
Here, do you know what the thing was? I didn't have any drinks last night, right? I was sitting watching a few movies and stuff. Do you know what I drank? I drank 6 fucking pints of milk. Sure, I'd been better on the beer.
What's your record? I bet you felt that today. What's your record amount of pints of milk in a day, Terry?
Pints of milk? Probably 6 wouldn't be far off it, like 6 or 7. 6 or 7.
It's a lot of fucking milk, like.
I used to drink, do you know you get them in those 2-litre plastic things? I used to drink one of them at work for my lunch every day, and then probably breakfast and then dinner, and maybe a wee bowl of Rice Krispies before I go to bed or something.
Just drinking hundreds of milk.
I love it. I absolutely love it. See if milk was alcoholic. If milk was alcoholic, that would be my choice. Like,
I don't think I've ever drank that as much milk as that. I mean, I do like it. I'm a fan of milk. Do you think you get health benefits out of it?
Not if you're drinking that amount of it. Not on the full fat. Not on the blue top.
Are you the blue top? Are you?
In the blue top, aye.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
See that first guzzle out of the blue top with the cream in it? Brilliant.
Oh, that may as well be 6 pints of cream. Oof.
How did you get on with this, Bhoycie?
I've no idea, mate. Let's talk about David.
We've just gone from Aaron Mooy to pints of milk.
Let's talk about another beep test character, and that would be David Turnbull, because I didn't fancy his chances on the old beep test either. But one thing I do like about this boy, mate, he gets a sight of goal for 20, anything outside that box, and that sort of 20 to 30 yard sort of radius. It's like he's hitting a penalty. Do you know what I mean? He is accurate for there, mate. You think of the amount of opportunities this Celtic side creates, the amount of times we've seen shots for your Maedas, Kyogos and all that have been fucking on ski with. How many times we've thought, just have a dig instead of another pass. He's, at times, you cannot deny the answer to that riddle, because his accuracy is excellent for that range. And also, I think he pulls the trigger quicker than the rest, Terry.
I think accuracy is the key word. He's not, they're not pot shots. He's placing those. All 3 of his goals that he's had have all been placed. And I think whenever he was playing in that Motherwell team, a poor Motherwell team, by the way, he was getting 15 a season. So can you imagine a fit David Turnbull playing a full season in a Celtic team in that 10 role? You've got to be looking at 20 goals, don't you? But he's not going to get that game time. He's just not. There's just so much competition. Is he making a case for more game time? I think so, yeah. And I think at some point, you know, I don't want to turn around and make a drama of it. I thought Hatate probably had one of his quietest games for Celtic today. Will there come a point where he kind of hits that wall the same as he did last year? I don't know, because he was coming off a Japanese season straight into the Scottish season. But I think the reassuring thing is, and what we've seen this season is, that we've got quality in numbers. Even without Callum, the captain, we've got a player that can come in there. If Mooy's not playing well, O'Reilly can play. If Riley's not playing well, Turnbull can play. We've got really good options in depth, and I would have absolutely no qualms about any of those guys playing. McGregor, O'Reilly, Turnbull.
Those getting kicked in there, Terry.
Any of those guys. Honestly, I'm going to go out and pull the head off that Wayne.
His eyes lit up there. Right, we'll put Terry back on mute. But I mean, the other thing that was interesting about the David Turnbull goal, and I know we've got a few folk mentioning it. It was winning the free kick. Alistair Jack was in the comments earlier. Brilliant having you on the bus again, mate. And he was saying he thought there was shades of Viduka in the turn that was done by I mean, Terry, Viduka was very, very good at those sort of drive back turns. And again today. Do you know what? See, if he'd done nothing, I'd have given him a pass based on that pitch, right? I would have just said, well, you can't judge anyone. Do you know what I mean? When they've just came into the team and do you know what I mean? I would have just went, well, who cares? I still thought he looked quite effective. Ange, I think there was 2 sides to it, right? I think Ange knew there was a wee bit concern, shall we say. There was a bit of a divide in the fan base about Giakoumakis leaving, right? I think he knew very much he had to oversell the signing Suddenly, he's saying to the media, "Oh, he was my number one target." Didn't even definitively say the January number one target, which had other people thinking, "Oh, is this who he wanted to sign all along?" I don't think that's quite what he meant. I think he's trying to dress it up a wee bit more to make it look like what is it? Soften the blow. Soften the blow, Giakoumakis. Then on camera, giving him the big hug and that. Oh, we've never seen Ange do that before. That's because Ange is definitely getting a message across. He knows that camera's there. It's all a wee bit staged. But having said that, put all that to one side. This boy does look like we've got a live one here. I know it's early days, but I like what I've seen from him, and fair play to him winning that free kick.
Yeah, need to see a bit more of him. Obviously, he's only getting the dying embers of the game, but he does look as if he's going to bring something a little bit different. That strength, he's got quite a bit of presence. It would have been interesting to see if he hadn't been hauled down, would he had the composure to go on and stick it into the net. But I feel there's a goal coming for him. Just he's going to get, even if he's only coming on for 10 and 15 minutes, he's going to get chances soon. And he's going to get his opportunity. I think if he scores at home, the roar that he's going to get is going to be right up there. Like,
I think so. I mean, what we wanted as well, I think it's a headache that Ange didn't want to have was dealing with. It was a conundrum for him because at the end of the day, we all know Giakoumakis left with 9 goals this season. Do you know what I mean? And he barely started. He started 4 Premier League games, 3 Premier League games.
Do you remember him playing? Do you even remember how could he have scored 9? He's hardly played. He's hardly played.
I know. And so you think about that and you go, there's no way that Giakoumakis doesn't have a point, Terry, right? Remember I said at the start of the show we wouldn't talk about him. But of course he's got a point that he wants to be playing games. Of course he does. It's the way Ange will play on the fact that Instagram thing really upset him. But that's been, again, very, very clever. Do you know what I mean? Like, because now he's got the reasoning for it and everyone's like, don't mess with the boss, man. Don't mess with the boss. He's got everyone on side. Ange is a genius that way, right? He's very good at pulling the strings, in my opinion. He knows fine well. Now he's got that smoking gun. All the fans are now going to go on side and go, didn't he cross the boss? Do you know what I mean? And fair play. I never thought about that Instagram thing. He's right. That was snide by Giakoumakis. Bearing in mind, I thought it was pretty snide when Giakoumakis scored 2 goals and he gets dropped the next day for Kyogo hadn't scored in 3. I thought that was pretty snide. But, of course, Ange's gift to pick who he wants. And now he's got a player in who won't have the same game time expectations that Giakoumakis had, Terry, right? Yeah. Because he knows he's new to the club, needs to settle in. That bit younger as well. Do you know what I mean? Well, considerably younger. He's learning his trade, so to speak, on the job. So he's not going to be coming with those sort of chaps on the door. Oh, you get him. Oh, you. Get some game time and things. And Ange's life is just that wee bit easier right now. And I think he's weathered that storm very cleverly, Postecoglou. I mean, he deserves credit for that, absolutely. The one thing, obviously, will be, it matters what happens on the pitch as well, though. You know what I mean? And that'll all be forgotten if suddenly Kyogo gets injured, goes to a dry patch, whatever, and O's still finding his feet, and, we look a wee bit lean up front, a wee bit light up front, I should say. Suddenly the optics of that will start maybe looking a wee bit different.
I think I had a bit of a chuckle when I seen Giakoumakis because the manager came out, I think it was his press conference pre-match, and goes, we'll probably find out on social media. And then what does Giakoumakis do? Takes to social media straight away with his retort. I suppose, Bhoycie, the thing would be, we don't need to go back into the whole what we think of Giakoumakis as a player and things like that. But if it obviously seems like there has been some kind of tension between him and the manager. I wonder has that at any stage affected the rest of the dressing room, or is it just simply a case of it's in-house between those two? It's probably not in-house because everybody sort of knows about it, but I wonder has...
Heard that before, Terry. We'll post it on social media. And we'll
in-house on social media. Is that the old saying? But I wonder at any stage has that started to spill out or creep into the rest of the dressing room? And as you say, Ange then has to be seen to be drawing a line under it, making it go away, and putting the message out there. You don't want to be here, or you don't agree with anything I'm doing. Sail on.
I think he's a spin doctor, mate. I just think Ange is
very clever. Very
I
clever.
think he's just like, fuck, I'm rumbled here. I just love Kyogo. He's playing. That says, on a very, very small scale. Someone put it on the live comments. I think what was his name? Mitro or something. Mitchell, I think it was, commented on last night's Saturday sesh and was discussing it. And thank you for the comments. I'm always happy to reply, even if it's post show and you leave your comments. We love all that. We love all that interaction on the bus. And he made a brilliant comparison. And at no point, this is very loose in terms of ability, Terry, right? Forget the ability levels because they're miles off. But at Barcelona, they signed, please forget the levels I'm about to discuss here, right? Because obviously, I am not comparing ability-wise, right? But at Barcelona, they had Messi, right? That's the boy, and he kind of plays the Messi role. He's the main goal scorer at the club. He's the teacher's pet as well, essentially. They then sign a striker who brings a completely different dynamic to the club, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, right? Now, he plays a completely different style, does his own thing, big character, bit of a maverick. Same outcome. Very same outcome. After 6 months, I think Ibrahimovic, by the way, his record was something like 40 games, 22 goals. He describes the Barcelona flop because that was the narrative that was being controlled by Guardiola. You know what I mean? Where really, I think Guardiola just looked at it to me. He's a joy for me to work with because he just does as he tells me, you're a nightmare. Do you know what I mean? Because you're good, your record's brilliant, but you're aware of it. You know it. And I don't actually think I'm as happy with my team, the optics of my team, or how my team looks with you in it as what I do with him in it. I like the setup without you in it, even though your goals record doesn't lie. So I'm going to find some spin that you're a troublemaker, yada, yada, and make it like, oh, he was just too hot to handle and stuff, and make it out that he drove a Bentley to work when he's meant to drive the club car. All this stuff is in the book, which I've read. So I wonder if there's just, Ange just basically from a footballing point of view went, he's not my fucking thing. Do you know what I mean? But we're going to need to try and make a mountain out of molehill. Is that the same? Over some sort of off-field behaviour things, and just give them a wee bit of bait and let people bite it. David Ferguson, I don't know what Ange is like. I don't know if he's got photos of your son, David, because every single thing, Ange doesn't decide what goes on in the dressing room. Mate, Ange is a human being the same as everyone else, right? We can just have an open conversation about him. It's okay. I think Ange is definitely, there's been a bit of spin. And I think Giakoumakis just wasn't his cup of tea. Kyogo's his boy, right? That is it. Or Kyogo, as he calls him. And that's his man, and that's it. He's sticking to it. And if he sees dividing the support, throw a wee grenade out there. Let them run with it. Do you know what I mean? And before you know it, everyone's back on side going, don't cross the boss. It's genius.
Bhoycie, talking about throwing grenades in, and a total tangent, but it's in my head. Liverpool job. Do you think he would come up in that conversation?
No,
I
don't. I definitely think that he's in the Man City conversation.
Do you really? Yeah.
I think they plan ahead. Like they'll have stages because Pep's alluded a few times, Terry, to the fact that he was going to leave, and then he signed his most recent deal. I think came as a surprise. I think he was already meant to have gone. I think if they were doing their sort of pre-planning, I think he'll be in the Man City conversation. I'm not saying he'll get the job, but I think he's very well known to the City group, and I think he's highly thought of. I think he would be someone that would be mentioned. See if there was a crisis or Guardiola walked out in the job tomorrow, who would see us over to the end of the season? I think they would. They would do something like that. Yeah, and then if he does well, we'll just keep him. I do not think Liverpool will go down that road.
The only thing that worries me about it is he has said that he was a Liverpool fan.
Aye. He also said he watched Celtic when he was growing up. I mean, it's up to, I suppose. If you believe that, you believe anything, I suppose. But doesn't it just show you, Bhoycie, though? At the start of this season, could you ever have anticipated a scenario where people would be talking about Jurgen Klopp possibly getting the sack from Liverpool? No.
Oh, my goodness, it just shows you how quick it can turn.
That's what I was just about to say. We've got to look at that from our prism as well. Football's always moving. And what I've realised as well is everything comes down to 3 points, mate. Everything's about 3 points. Oh, you're dealing with that like a pint of milk now, Terry. Brilliant, mate. That was good.
That's the best one yet. Look at the head in that.
I know. Awesome, mate. That's not bad for a can, eh?
You've got to learn how to pour them.
Oh, thank you. But I just think if you're getting the 3 points on the park, right, suddenly everything's fine. Everything's sound. Nobody cares anymore about all the issues they were making out was the reasons for when you're not getting 3 points in the park. You look at Everton, it's all the board's fault. Everyone's it's like they spent £500 million in your team. Do you know what I mean? What more could that guy do? I'm not saying they invested it wisely, but they've definitely had your back. Do you know what I mean? They've given you a fair crack of the whip. Do you know what I mean? If it's went wrong, it's went wrong. But everyone looks for a million reasons as to why you're not getting the 3 points. And see, once you start getting 3 points each week again, suddenly, like, from a Celtic point of view, that whole board played musical chairs, Terry, effectively, right? And added Lowell's son to it. That's what happened, right? That's the only difference. They've all changed their title. Do you know what I mean? It's the exact same folk. That we've seen for months, campaign after campaign, sack this lot, get them out the club. Suddenly we start winning again. And wait, the new though is, I mean, he's not the chairman. Nicholson's amazing. I'm like, you wanted them all out. You wanted them all out. 3 points on the park, Terry.
That's what I mean.
Comes down.
We lose next weekend, there'll be a Lowell out campaign out the front. Do you know what I mean?
Aye. Totally, mate. Aye, Nicholson, he's not a clue what he's doing. He's a rookie, and why is his son that you can hear it?
He's ringing Peter during the week and all. He's asking for his advice.
But I mean, I think one thing though that you highlight quite well, Terry, I want your take on that. I do think come the summer, whatever vacancies do come up down south predominantly, right? I do think it'll be down south that where the main links will come. I do think his name, provided we win the league title this year, which, as I say, I mean, I just thought today was another, show of our conviction that's going to happen. I do think with that title in the bag, 2 in a row at the club, 2 Champions League campaigns qualified for, and considering where he picked up, he picked the ball up from. When you look at Steven Gerrard getting the Villa job on the back of 1 trophy out of 9, I appreciate the fact his playing career probably played a big part in that. But notwithstanding that, when you consider Postecoglou's then managerial record, do you know what I mean, over such a long period of time, if you were to win two league titles in a row on these shores, I think he'll be very much front, left and centre of links. I'm not saying he's going to be approached by any club, but any vacancies that then crop up from then on, I do think we'll need to get used to seeing the manager's name linked with it. Do you think that's fair? And by the way, that's kudos to the manager for some brilliant work.
Aye, and I don't even think it's the case of the success, because I don't think the clubs down south really measure Scottish football by the success, because
how you do it.
It's how you do it. And I think if people are watching, put it like this, I've got most of my pals would support Premier League sides, but they've happened to catch the odd Celtic game, probably like today, where they're maybe down the pub waiting on Spurs Man City and Celtic's been the first game on. And what they've been saying is, that guy's got used playing nice stuff. Use are easy on the eye, that kind of chat. And that kind of chat will also be going on in boardrooms down south about the product that's on the pitch, the way he's got those players playing. And almost as important as getting the results is the performance and the way that you're doing it. And as you say, he's come to us. He's come to Celtic's attention through the City group, and all of those clubs that are in the City group have all got like-minded managers who set their teams up in a similar way.
Oh, Ronnie Dyler being one.
Yeah, exactly, Ronnie Dyler. On a different scale, obviously, but there were things you could see things that Ronnie Dyler was trying to implement. He just at that point probably didn't have the strength of character to make it happen, whereas Ange does. You know what I mean? Ronnie Dyler is dealing with, I don't want to throw names in there. Well, Lee Griffiths or someone like that. And Ronnie probably doesn't have that strength of character to deal with those. Whereas you can imagine if Lee Griffiths steps out of line, Ange will just bin him. He'll bin him in the next window. It's
interesting because the other thing is, this is the best. But Bob's telling us all, and I like giving Bob a wee bit of feedback. It's not the Bob show, by the way. But I like to give him a wee bit of feedback, and I like to educate Bob, because clearly he doesn't understand how it works, right? So Bob likes to use this stick to beat us with. 63 million spent in 2 seasons. Ange's net spend is actually just on transfers alone, not even taking into consideration the prize money he's earned us, Bob. He's made Celtic a hell of a lot more than he has cost us, right? Now, also, if you want to talk about £63 million being spent, I suggest you look at the EPL for spending, and I think £63 million is a drop in the ocean down there. We've just seen Chelsea spend 300 in the January window. What's he got in for that 63 million is what a chairman looks at, Bob. And they look at the players and the values that he's paid, and they look at the individual transfers and then their resale value now, what they've achieved on the park. So that 63 million, you can use that as some sort of stick to make Ange look like a donkey somehow, if that makes you feel better. However, the bang for his buck, Bob McBob, has been spectacular. There is no getting away from it. The market value, even in signings we've sold that we think were undervalued, he's still made profit on. He made treble the money on Juranovic. He's made an extra $1.5 million on Giakoumakis. Yes, albeit as Celtic fans, we thought we could get more for it, for those players. But the ones he's brought in, like Atati was £1.5 million. Do you know what I mean? What does he go for? Jota, £6.8 million. You know, let's be real here. Ange Postecoglou's work and how he's operated in the transfer market is a selling point for that manager. That is something chairman across the country, if they were having a conversation about Ange Postecoglou, would be using in the pros column with Bob, not the cons column. So I think when people want to, get carried away with what Celtic have spent and they're not looking at this as a business. They're just looking at it through, well, it's more than Ross County have spent. No shit, Sherlock. Of course it is, but we've got eyes on the Champions League here. And why don't you compare us with what those clubs are spending? And we are nowhere near it, as I constantly say. So I think, Terry, this guy's work in the transfer market is actually one of the most compelling arguments why Postecoglou's job has been so impressive.
Never mind his work in the trans. I want to talk to Bob. I like Bob. Okay, I like his input now and again. He's a wee bit annoying after a while, but he's all right. See that 63 million? I'll answer that in 4 words. It was our money. As a wee throwback to whenever Rangers were spending money that wasn't theirs. You make a point, Bhoycie, there about, I don't know, 63 million. Bob obviously knows a lot more about what Celtic spend than I do. I don't sit and count.
We call him obsessed about it.
Every penny and all that kind of thing. But when you look at the money that Celtic have brought in against the money that has actually gone out, we're probably bringing in more in fees than we're spending in fees. Do you know what I'm saying? And the thing that annoys me when we're talking about that whole the thing about the Martindale Postecoglou conversation, which Ange obviously won hands down and things like that, the bit that gets us as Celtic fans, the argument for Celtic against Livingston, Ange nailed it. We're the biggest club with the most fans, and those fans spend their money on supporting Celtic. The bit that annoys Celtic fans is you've got 2-bit Bob teams down south in the Championship getting more money just because of where they're positioned geographically. They've got 10, 12, 15,000 seater stadiums. They don't have a big support, but they're generating more money just because they sit geographically in a different place. That's a totally different argument from David Martindale's argument about Celtic spending more money than Livingston. Celtic are a huge club. Livingston are not. Celtic are a huge club. Stoke City are not.
Brilliant
any
point.
team you want to pick in the English Championship or the lower reaches of the Premiership, they're not big. They're not big clubs compared to Celtic. They generate cash because geographically they sit in England and they're getting windfalls of money that their club size doesn't justify. That's the bit that wrangles a little bit.
You're right, Terry, mate. You're right. And see the other thing as well. I remember Aberdeen were playing Burnley, I think it was, in the UEFA Cup qualifier.
A couple of years ago,
and they got the draw, but before they had a wee dip into the sort of the financial landscape of the two teams, right? Ticket money, gate money for Aberdeen was something like 52 to 55. Oh, didn't say that number. % of their actual revenue. Burnley's Terry was fucking something like 5% of their revenue was generated at the gates. The rest was all obviously this TV money. Now, that is an argument you could have if you're David Martindale, and that was happening. You were playing something that lopsided based on, what a TV company's pumping into your league. But Celtic's got the revenue streams it does because they achieve things. They have a huge fan base. These things all go hand in hand. And as I say, right now, at this moment in time, with Postecoglou in position, you trust him with the money. He's not spending it wildly. He's not spending it out of control. And he's certainly not spending fees on individual players that should be anything close to beyond the realms of what Celtic can do in the 2023 transfer market, which has gone so far out of the realms of reality. It's unbelievable. Do you know what I mean? So I think when you look at what he's done in the transfer market, as I say, I think that's been one of the most compelling arguments for the success that he's brought to Celtic.
The interesting thing, and again, it's a conversation we've went round the houses on so many times, is can he do it at the next level? Can he do it with the next level of player? The next level of transfer fees? That's the bit that I really want to see Celtic push the boundaries on coming into the next window. If the Champions League money is guaranteed, which I fully expect that it is for a second season in a row, there's absolutely no excuse. And this is a crossroads for Celtic, Bhoycie. If we don't speculate this summer, we're never going to speculate. Never, ever.
I think there'd be a big, big warning sign there if we don't see Celtic, being pretty. The words that get used by Ange are like aggressive in the transfer market. That's a quote that he's used. Agile in the transfer market. That's the word he's used. Spending the fans' money on the team. That's phrases, tons of phrases he has used, Terry. He is going to invest the money that you bring into this club that we earn on the team. Well, we all will be not acutely aware, Terry, fully aware, eyes open, that Celtic will have generated 30 million plus 2 summers in a row by qualifying for the Champions League, provided they win this title. With that in mind, there's no hiding place. There's no hiding place, Terry. We know that the revenue streams will be there. So if we don't see, as you say, that slightly, that raised game in the transfer window come this summer, with all that in mind, I think that would be a real warning sign for us as fans that, you know what, they aren't going to go to that next level. They're not. This is our, I was going to use a good word there. Utopica. What's that word? What is that word, man? Anyway, but that is our ceiling is domestic trebles. That is our.
There's no excuse this year. There is absolutely no excuse whatsoever. It's going to be interesting. I'm not convinced we will, to be honest. I'm really not. And I spoke about it the last time I was on there last week. We're getting to that stage with the manager we're at that stage in the cycle where little problems start to appear and develop, and before you know it, the manager starts to get pissed off. We've been here with other managers right throughout the last 20, 30 years. Mm-hmm. We've got to go for it this summer, and if we don't, then I think we're going to have to supporters resign ourselves to the fact that we're just happy to qualify for this thing and take the dough that goes along with it. We have absolutely no ambition to try and be any better than we are. And I'm fearful. I'm fearful that we'll get to that point. The signs are good. Everything points to the fact, other than the fact we've never done it, everything points to the fact that the manager will be supported. And I would expect this manager to be knocking on the door and saying, right, I'm ready to go to the next level. Are you? I'm just not convinced. I'm just not convinced that he'll get the response that he wants. And at that point, I think is when you start to have concerns about somebody coming who is prepared to go to that next level, and that will obviously result in him moving on. But
Lenny back in charge for the 24-25.
Not again. I'm Lenny's biggest fan, but I couldn't go through that again. Do you know what? I really hope.
Ice up a bit, Terry. Come on.
Well, listen, I hope he doesn't come back to Scotland again. See that Aberdeen job he's being linked with it and stuff. I hope he doesn't for his own sake. There has to come a point in the guy's life where enough's enough, and I just don't. Part of me thinks, Lenny, don't do it. You don't need the stress. But another part of me thinks, Lenny, I know rightly you'll be sitting here going, fuck, I might do that. I might just fucking, I think part of all the circus that goes on around being Neil Lennon in Scotland, I think he hates it, but he also gets off on it at the same time. And it would not surprise me if he rocks up again, but I don't know.
Terry, put it this way though. You look at the situation at a team like Aberdeen. I mean, these are fans that think, as I said earlier, I've listened to them this week who think, Considine being missing was the big disastrous move by Jim Goodwin. I mean, they are at rock bottom if that's the case. Now, when your chairman continually gets it wrong and then he's doing press conferences and that, someone needs to tell him he needs a football guy in there. Someone who's going to, I think, undeniably, Terry, there is that big red button, ginger button, whatever you want to call it. It is the Lenny button that will be right now in I think, flashing a wee bit brighter than normal in both the Aberdeen boardroom and maybe to a lesser extent now because they picked up a couple of results, the Hibs one as well. I am convinced of that because eventually it becomes, again, maybe just a bit like Lenny. It goes from that phase of, I think maybe even chairman can go, I know it's wrong, but he is box office. Do you know what I mean? And even the same thing works two ways. Do you know what I mean? Whilst Lennon might hate and some of the stuff has been deplorable what's happened to that guy, but there's other bits he goes, I'm the fucking man up there. Do you know what I mean? They'll follow me about. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm the top dog. Hugh even said this on Friday, which I couldn't believe. He said that the reason Lennon he doesn't think he'll be the Aberdeen manager is because, I don't know how Hugh Keevans knows this, but it's quite smart with the presenter anyways, because I'm a journalist and I do my job. You should try it, which I thought that host needs that, put in his place sometimes. But he basically said that the reason Lenny won't do it is because he needs to wait till after the end of April because he'll need to pay too much tax coming back from Cyprus. That's why he's still over there. He said it completely like being straight. I was like, fucking hell. I never even thought of that. I mean, so I think that he was like, they would need to pay him too much to make it worth his while. Do you know what I mean? So he'll just sit there. He'll stay over there till he,
he thinks it's done. Barry Robson holds the fort, then brings Lenny in just to see the season out.
But you never know, mate. You never. Well, what he said was, he never said he would be the manager. All right, okay. He said the reason he doesn't see him taking the job at this moment in time will be because he can't actually come to Scotland. But yeah, I mean, I know we went off on a tangent about Lennon, but even right now on the bus, when his name comes up, even my eyes light up. Your eyes, it's something. He's a character in the game that when you talk about him, there is just so many avenues you can go down. And by the way, yeah,
do you think he's still wearing that Celtic training gear? do you remember the clip comes up about 3 months after he left of him out having a drink? He's wearing the Celtic training gear. Is he still out from the day that he left the club 3 months ago? Has he been on the bed for 3 months?
He'd had more pints that day than you've had pints of milk this week, Terry, honestly. I don't know. He's maybe cutting about in the Omonia Nicosia gear now. Do you know what I mean? In Cyprus. Just wearing the training shorts and all that. Do you know what I mean? But
do you know the thing? He can get a result. He can galvanise the side. Yes, it will go tits up after 18 months, 24 months. But even that Cypriot team, I know we ended up getting the boot from there. And I didn't watch the results every week, but I did watch them when they played Man United, and I did. I kept an eye on that, and they pushed them in both games. And do you know what I mean? It's not just luck. It's not luck that he was able to guide that Celtic team with those players for a result against Barcelona in a one-off game. Is he going to go down in the annals of history as a great Celtic manager? No, he's not. But he does definitely have something about him where he can galvanise a group of individuals for a short period of time.
Love that for Phil McGinley comes in the face of Bustalgia and the amount of work Phil puts in on that and other aspects of the channel as well. He is the man, and he's saying, out of all the Bustalgia episodes on the channel, 2 out of his top 5 viewed have been Lennon's 2010-11 season and his 2011-12 season, over 1.1 thousand each. Lennon brings the ratings. He totally does, man. He totally does. I seen Ajax boy in the chat, Terry, and he was saying that basically, the tempo dropped off in the second half. Any concerns about that, Terry, as being a You seen a pattern of that? The tempo's dropping off, or do you just think it's game management? Why, put in far too much energy when you think the job's maybe safe, or do you think is it something that would concern you?
Doesn't concern me. Have I seen a pattern? Yes, over the last 2 games, which is short sample size. I don't know if it's even just game management. It might just be season management, which is on a bigger scale. Do you know what I mean? You've got the game in the bag. You've got lots of games coming up, lots of important games. You're trying to get over the line. We've got what have we got? Goal difference plus 20, plus 30, plus whatever number you want. I don't think players.
Another 2 today. Another 2 in that.
Players purposely don't in that moment of the game think, let's drop off a little bit because we've got another 20 games coming up. I don't think that happens, but
no,
I just think it gets to a point where when they're 2 goals ahead, they know the game's done and they know that they can see this game out in cruise control. And
I agree.
I think the other side of that is then talking about being aggressive in the transfer market, do we get a wee bit more aggressive with the substitutions? Do we bring players on at halftime? Do we not wait to 70 minutes and give players a few minutes in the dying embers? Do we get a wee bit more aggressive that way and get the guys on there? I mean, Haksabanovic, I'm not sure what he was on for today. 15, 10, something like that. He was only 5. He was 5 minutes at the end. He was the last substitution. But I would love to just sit and watch a lot more of Haksabanovic. He's just a street footballer all day long. He loves a dribble. He loves a trick. And he's an excellent player, but he's another one, a la Turnbull, a la Giakoumakis, who's departing. Really, really good players who just aren't getting much of a look in at the moment. But if something happened to Maeda, Jota, Abada, and you had to rely on Haksabanovic coming in, would that concern you in any way, shape, or form? Would you be worried if we lined up for that cup final and Haksabanovic had to play because somebody else was out? It wouldn't be ideal, but it wouldn't bother me one bit. I think Haksabanovic is an absolute baller.
But yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, Haksabanovic as well, by the way. Second half, the commentator must have said his name about 1,000 times. Do you know what I mean? But Big Johnny in the live chat. Oh, bless you, Big Johnny. Still remembers clothes that I wore 18 months ago, 2 years ago. And the fact you put big in front of your name, Johnny. Hey, wee man. There's loads like you, mate. That's you blocked, son. But you can keep typing away furiously in the background and all your Bhoycie memories that you've got, mate, your posters you've got in the wall of me, big man, you keep looking at them, pal, but we will see you another time. Come back with another avatar, why not? And make sure you put the word big at the start of that, Tadger. But aye, Terry, you just got to deal with these pricks sometimes, you know what I mean? But I think Haksabanovic is a live wire as well. I was talking about Owen, I think we've got a live one there. Haksabanovic today was on the ball as often as possible. Honestly, if you'd been listening to that game in the radio, you'd have thought, fucking hell, he's everywhere because his name was mentioned all the time. I like what I've seen for him. I just think, do you know what I mean? When you look at I just think when you look at the actual competition we've got for a place on our wings right now, it is so strong. I think Maeda's we were talking about it on Thursday. He's someone that you just think no defender wants to play him. Abada's the numbers guy. He's the guy with 10 goals, 7 assists this season. And Jota, I think, is the most gifted footballer in the country. Definitely, in my opinion. So, what are you meant to do to get in that team? And then Haksabanovic, when he does get his minutes in the park, has always impressed me. I just think his game. You're right though. Would you be concerned if Haksabanovic started a big game? Absolutely not.
Or Turnbull.
Capable. Turnbull, I think you would, for whatever reason, I'm just being completely honest with you, I think if you've seen him in the starting lineup, I would be a bit like, hold on a minute, what's going on there? Someone injured. Do you know what I mean?
Would you expect him to score?
That'd be the different debate. I've got to be consistent. I think he would definitely be one of your favourites to get a goal, 100%. I don't know if maybe the other thing with these goals that he's scoring is, and again, this isn't his fault, he can only do what he can when he gets the game time he does. But are his goals being scored, Terry, at critical moments, of high intensity moments in the games, or is he quite often scoring the third, the fourth goal in matches when the game's comfortable and the other team's already given up the ghost? Do you know what I mean?
That's
I'm
a
not
fair
sure.
argument, but for him, he's got a 10-minute window for him to make an impression.
Totally agree with that.
He's done it.
I agree with you, Terry. I agree with you on that. You can only beat the team in front of you. You can only do so much when you get that opportunity and you're coming on for 10, 12 minutes in a game. It's not your fault if it's already.
Bhoycie, we touched on it. We touched on it with Mark during the week there. Bernabeu can't get in the top. Bernabeu can't get in the top 20 again. 2 matches in a row.
Not sure if there's an injury there. Ange certainly hasn't said there was. What do I think about Bernabeu? I think there's a player in there, Bhoycie. Yes, but
whether we get to see it come to fruition, I don't know.
Well, I think there was a player in Giakoumakis as well, and we've seen what happened there. And let's be honest, if you think Giakoumakis has been hard work for the manager, think of the difficult conversations Ange had within a month of Bernabeu being in the door. Do you know what I mean? But that's the reality.
Apart from every club in Glasgow, for fuck's sake, within a month.
So you've got to take that on board and go, maybe that was one that was already got a red flag over it. And if he's not doing the business in the park, look, Jens lasted 6 months. Do you know what I mean? Abelgard lasted 4 months. Let's be real here. Ange will have no hesitation if he thinks Bernabeu is going to be a handful, or if he thinks he's not good enough in the park, that after 12 months of him, Ange won't cut his losses. As we were talking about earlier, this works two ways. Bernabeu is maybe the investment that Ange has got, wrong. We don't know that yet, by the way. I'm just saying potentially could have got it wrong. And if he has, do you know what? His strike rate's still that impressive that we'll give him it. Do you know what I mean? It's okay. I still think his attitude, though, will be the same as if it was a loan signing, a free transfer, whatever. If he doesn't think he's going to make it, I think come this summer, he'll just go, right, we'll just need to ship him out, and I want another go at that position. But let's be honest, Terry, as we've discussed on this before, if that is his sixth signing for the number 6 role, or his fifth, is it his fifth signing for the number 6
I'm
role?
going to take Mooy out of those calculations, because I was including Mooy as a 6.
That's true.
Mooy's a 10. Mooy is a 10.
Fair.
And if he played as a 6, that was to try and help us out. I genuinely thought he was a 6, just on my recollections of him playing down south. But probably where that's come from is he was playing for Huddersfield, he was playing for Brighton. He probably was a 10, but they were under so much pressure, he looked like a 6.
I hear you. That's a good point. Oh, it's a good point. When we were talking about Duffy the other night, and it was like, Shane Duffy.
Where's Duffy? Is Duffy Fulham now? Where's Duffy?
Apparently he's played like 4 minutes or something for Fulham.
There was a game yesterday, though, and they were talking, I think he might have been on the bench.
Right. I don't know.
How long? Shane Duffy is still earning a living as a professional footballer in the English Premiership.
I know. It's funny. There's a chance.
Is it Fulham? Are we right in Fulham?
I'm sure he's at Fulham. I'm positive he is. I'm positive. I don't think he's getting a game. But
just
yeah,
it could go wrong, Bhoycie. But
exactly.
I thought when that guy was coming up, I'm just going, right, that's it. Shane Duffy, nothing will ever get past him.
It was exactly what I wanted.
Every fucker in his dog got past him for fun. As soon as his confidence went, and I thought he came in, I think he scored in his first 2 games, 2 headers from dead balls. I was sitting going, Jesus fuck, I think he might end up top scorer in the league. He might even get more than Tavernier penalty. And then as soon as things started to go wrong for him, they just completely unraveled, and he just looked totally incapable.
Terry, the reason I brought up his name was because when you were saying there about the possession that Aaron Mooy looked like maybe a number 6 down south. Well, Shane Duffy looked like the exact defender we needed down south, but when he came up here, suddenly he had the ball and he was quite exposed that when it came to, us dominating games with 70-75% possession and things, that wasn't his game. Like, see, when he was playing for a Brighton side that weren't the high-flying Brighton they are now, he was very much last-ditch defending from minute 1 to minute 90, backs to the wall, Terry. Same when he played for Ireland, when they were trying to qualify for tournaments, it was very much under the cosh for long, long periods of the game. He didn't have that. It was his concentration levels needed to be sporadic at Celtic, but so on point. And I just think that was very different. And I take your point. The reason I'm bringing that up is because when Mooy, you're right, when Mooy was down south, when you're playing for Huddersfield in the EPL, or you were playing for that version of Brighton at that period of time, you are not going to be dominating games and being able to roam about the way he is. He was having to
do things that he wasn't used to doing.
Yes. But he must have done them well, because he still wanted a 10 million fee at that point, didn't he? And went on to China for 100 grand a week. So he must have his spell in the EPL. Not that I'm going to ever lie to you and say I watched loads of Huddersfield or fucking Brighton, right? But that being said, I do still think his spell down in that top flight league must have been a success based on the move that he achieved, a 10 million move from one EPL club to another, and based on the fact a Chinese club was spending, they reckon, about 100 grand a week in his wages.
Are we talking about Mooy or Duffy?
Mooy.
Oh, Mooy. Mooy was very well regarded down south. Mooy was very well regarded. I thought we were talking about Duffy. See, when we're on the Duffy conversation, backs to the wall defending, that's where Duffy kind of excels. I genuinely think that's where Starfelt excels.
Agreed.
Backs to the wall. And I think that's the one bit of this European campaign that we probably didn't get to see, because Starfelt was injured for the vast majority of it, because Jens played most of those games, didn't he? As I think Starfelt's best, you see him in his best light when he has to defend. He has to win headers. He has to clear balls. He has to make last-ditch challenges. And I thought Starfelt was okay today. He'd one pass that I just put a little tick against his name. He'd one pass where he knocked it out for a throw-in. But other than that, he wasn't too bad. But there was quite a lot of balls going into the box today, and that's when he shows himself as a good defender. But for 95% of the games that you're going to play as a Celtic centre half, you need to have more than just being a good defender. You need to be the first line of the attack. You need to be the person that starts the attacks. And I hate going in on him, because I hate going in on absolutely any player. But the one thing I'd like to have seen was those Champions League games when we were under the cosh for long spells. Would Starfelt have come to the fore? Would his skill set, which I believe he does have, would we have seen that in a better light, where he's winning the headers, he's clearing the balls, he's making the tackles? Who knows?
Here's the one for you then. Starfelt Champions League. Because, Terry, based on what you've told me, this guy likes defending. Well, we're going to be doing a lot more defending in the Champions League than what we are in the SPFL. And he's untested, because we've never seen him in the Champions League this year.
Yeah.
And Ange may well point to that as being one of the critical factors, because he has built that partnership for a full season before. An unbeaten domestic partnership, I think it is. Am I right in that? Someone could correct me. I don't think they've ever lost when Starfelt and Cameron Carter-Vickers have played together, which is baffling. And I wonder if Ange is saying, look, just you wait, that is my guy for the Champions League. And, you know, we were unlucky that he was out during that time. I know it's hard to. I suppose
the question then is: are you happy going into next year with those two as your centre half partnership?
Well, this is it. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I think you would have hoped that when Kobayashi was coming in, he was going to be direct, proper competition for Starfelt, because it looks like, for whatever reason, Starfelt, when it came to Starfelt and Jens, Starfelt won that battle with ease. I think, you know, even when he couldn't have been match fit, Ange was like, you're straight back in. So that's Ange's gift, by the way, the same way it is for any other position. Whoever he prefers, he's going to go with. That's fine. I then thought, well, the Kobayashi one then must mean he's an upgrade on, at very least, Jens, and then he'll be pushing Starfelt for that jersey. Starfelt, at this moment in time, very, very early days for Kobayashi, of course, seems to be winning that battle, though, at this moment in time. CCV's position is secure.
Tell us this, though, Bhoycie. Why is it always the case, and this isn't just Celtic, this is across the board. You see all these substitutions, you've got your guys coming on for 10, 15 minutes, midfielders and forwards. They never change a centre-back. They never change a centre-back or a goalkeeper. Sure they don't. And how does Kobayashi get any more game time? Unless we get nice games in the cup.
I agree with you. I agree.
Why is that? Why do they change forwards and midfield? I know why it is. You don't want to. You just want, if you're leading a game, you want to keep your centre back partnership together They're tight. You're ahead. You don't want to disrupt it in any way. But why
If
is
you're
it
3-0
always?
down, who cares?
But why is it always you can change your forwards, your midfielders, your wide men, maybe even your fullbacks, but you never see a centre half coming on for a centre half unless there's an injury. What's
So
that all
true,
about?
mate. I couldn't agree more with you, mate. I could not agree more with you. I mean, if it were me and you're going 2-0 down, that means something's not working. And yet, you're conditioned, I think managers are conditioned, or their default situation. Well, it's not the goalkeeper, it's not the two centre-backs. Can he change that?
Aye.
That'll make it worse.
What's that all
And
about?
sometimes you wonder, well, maybe that might be exactly what we need. You know, because if you're shipping goals, it's that area of the park that, you know, you concede your goals. You know what I mean? You know, the players that are going to be in and around that seem to be invincible, are completely
Scott Bain being told to go out and warm up. You're coming on for the last 5 minutes. Away out and do your exercises there. You've been here for the last 25 years and you haven't kicked a ball. Get you warmed up there.
That'd be brilliant, eh? I mean, I don't know. It's an interesting one because you do think of some games and you go, but surely to fuck, once you're like 4-0 down in the first half hour, you're like, right, he's having a mare. Take him off. You know, he's having a mare. It doesn't matter what position he is. If you're playing shite, you're playing shite.
Right, I'm going to ask you a question, Bhoycie. And
okay.
I want an honest answer, right? It's a serious question. Serious question, honest answer. Championship manager, have you ever brought your sub goalie on up front to try and get him a goal in the last couple of minutes?
just to make sure. I don't think so.
And what was his date of birth?
Aye, but I do swap I will swap the keeper though. I'll sub the keeper off if we're conceding early.
Proper order, but
aye.
There's one for you. You never change the centre backs to the goalie unless you have to.
Nah. It's interesting. And that, as I say, I just wonder if that is part of Ange's master plan for the Champions League will be, you ain't seen my team with my two preferred centre backs there. Phil's coming up with the stats because, you know, Phil fucking is the oracle, mate. And he's saying Cameron Carter-Vickers and Spfl have not lost the league game they've started together. They have lost the Scottish Cup game. I think we know which one that was. But the league run is like 40 plus games unbeaten, an extraordinary partnership. Those numbers are, you know, fucking impressive, Terry. Do you know what I mean?
Was the Scottish Cup game in 90 minutes?
No.
So in normal regulation time. Listen, I'm never going to question anything Phil puts up, absolutely. But even then, that record is amazing. Amazing. Especially when I think one of them is no good.
This is the thing. And then you go, you know, when you look at that record domestically, if that was, I don't know, a 50-goal partnership up front,
yeah, exactly.
But yet one of them had been missing the whole Champions League campaign, you wouldn't be saying, we need to get another striker back in. Do you know what I mean? You'd be going, just wait till you see the two of them in the Champions League next year together. Now we've got them together again. I just wonder if that'll be how that's how Ange is viewing it. That he thinks.
How did we ever get Carter-Vickers, by the way? How did we get him?
Well, we won a raffle, didn't we? Because we got basically phoned at the last minute, said, look, he is still available. Celtic landed on their feet with that one. That's why I was saying this the other night. Was it to you on Thursday? And I was saying, you know, the two loan, or was it maybe Bustalgia? We're talking about the loan signings because they were loans with the option to buy Jota.
Bustalgia was loans, wasn't it?
Aye, and CCV and Jota came in with the loan with the option to buy. But Jota was a thought out, planned loan to option that was crafted together brilliantly and made perfect business sense, firstly, because he's worth a fortune, and secondly, was a really, really good piece of business for the team because of what he brings. Cameron Carter-Vickers, Celtic kind of landed on their feet, Terry. If you bear in mind, we signed him 10 minutes before the window.
I remember going to bed. I went to bed that transfer deadline. I remember it clearly. I went to bed about 11 o'clock, door shut. We've got two players in, Jota, Jack and Marcus, I think it was on that deadline day. I could be wrong on that. Went to bed. I knew there was interest in Carter-Vickers' name had been mentioned with Celtic over a number of windows, but he was kind of just, he was never one of those players that you then started looking. There was never enough interest that you started looking to see what you thought of him or any footage of him or things like that. He was just a name, and you thought he's just been passed about from English club to English club, loan. He's obviously not good enough to play for Spurs. They just keep loaning them out. And I wasn't expecting much. And when he came in, I got up the next morning and I thought, oh, there's a wee extra one on there. He's got an American flag against his name, Carter-Vickers. I've been linked with him before. I will see how that works out. But my goodness, what a player, Rolls Royce. Absolute Rolls Royce. He's I said this before as well. he's starting to push his way into the best centre backs that I've seen, along with Virgil van Dijk and Paul Elliott. He's just so assured, and you just don't expect him. I'm sure one day he will make a mistake and he'll cost us a goal, but I don't. He's just absolutely superb. I just don't know how he's got to the point where Celtic are able to get him. Surely he's shown that kind of performance down south enough for one of those teams with all the money that they have to make that happen.
Well, this was the thing. I think, again, my memory's been playing tricks on me, but was he not like the standout player at Bournemouth in the Championship? He played about 22, 23 games. I think he'd only joined them, though. Maybe the January window. He played the last 6 months of the season before there in the Championship. Apparently, he was brilliant. But the thing was, with Celtic's point of view on it was, I don't know if they were haggling over money, which, to be honest, wouldn't surprise you. And then at the last minute, Spurs have had to go back to Celtic and say, look, to be honest, we need to get this done, right? Because he needs to go, and there's no one else willing to pay that money anyway.
How does the Bournemouth not just turn around and go, do you know what? He was good for us. We maybe have other options, but fuck it, we'll just bring him on board anyway because we've loads of cash.
Well, this is what I think. This is what's taken me to a place where I think Celtic landed on their feet, Terry, because I am convinced if he's not already been snapped up for a free loan, then with a $6 million fee at the end of it option, that wasn't what the fee was originally. I think they were angling for £10 million for this guy. And then it's the reality's bitten with 10 minutes to go. It's unfair on the player. He's not going to get any game time. Let's get him. Let's ship him out. What was the deal you wanted to do, Celtic? Can we get him now? Pay you later? Fuck it. Just get him.
Here's the thing about that.
That can't have been.
Is he an Ange signing? Is he an Ange signing? Because he was on Celtic's. He was on Celtic's radar before that window. I remember his name being linked with Celtic for about 18, 24 months. Loosely linked.
I don't think he was an Ange signing.
He's probably been on that list that was on the internet.
That actually gives you the fear when you see that list, man, honestly. But I do think that was a signing that was a Celtic signing. There's no way. Look how Ange gets his players in, Terry. He identifies them.
He goes to Japan.
Well, basically, he signs them in January. But I don't think when we're signing guys for 10 minutes before the end of the window that have been linked with us previously, as you rightfully point out, that's an Ange signing. But it's the one where, as I say, I just think we landed on our feet. I think this is a player Spurs rated to a point where they thought they could get a market value of him that was of decent value, right? Then what happens is no club bites. Even Bournemouth go, whoa, we're not paying 8 figures for the boy. Like, no way. And Spurs are, they'll pay it. They'll pay it. They'll come in at the last minute because as you say, all the English clubs are awash with money. We'll get our money off them. They'll come in. No one's coming in 10 minutes before. Celtic's a last resort for a club like Spurs to sell to on the basis that financially it makes no sense. Look at the Cantwell deal to Rangers, for example. Do you honestly think Norwich wanted to give him to Rangers for 150 grand over 4 instalments? Of course they don't. That's the weakest valuation. But once they find out there's no Middlesbroughs coming to town, for example, Huddersfield Town's bidding the 500 grand they were maybe angling for. Come the end of that final week of the window, they just go, what was it you offered? Right, just take him off our hands.
He's been pimped around the Premiership and nobody has bet. And they've decided to go for him. Do you think Carter-Vickers could have played for Spurs? Do you think he's that good?
Do I think he could play for Spurs? Yes, absolutely. I think there's a lot of... I watch a wee bit more English football this season than I have for quite a few years. Reason for that, probably just because when I'm working now in the mornings, it tends to be a wee bit quieter. And when I'm working from home, I just put on the talk sport on YouTube. And I like the debate with the two. I think it's brilliant. Jim White's an amazing host. For all he's a prick or he's a Rangers fan or whatever, he just knows how to wind the pundits up. He just drops.
He's an icon, though. He's an icon of broadcasting.
I think so. I've got no issue with saying that. I think he's very good at his job as well. And then you've got Simon Jordan, who I think now, just when he speaks, you want to listen. Would I go for a pint with him? Would I share the same views as him on much in life? Probably not. When it comes to sport and business, though, I would go, he's all right. Like, he knows what he's talking about. So they kind of piqued my interest in watching English football again, because I kind of wanted to know what they were talking about, Terry. I was like, I like this debate, but I don't actually have the first Scooby-Doo as to what, the actual content of it, because English football I'd kind of just turned away from. The more plastic it got, Terry, do you know what I mean? But when I look at the teams in that league, and I look at how they defend, I watched the Everton-Arsenal game yesterday, for example, right? And you looked at Everton's two centre-backs, and I thought, wow, they're a bit of a throwback, actually. It's Connor Cody and the guy who scored, Tarkowski. And both of them, I thought, fucking hell, I didn't know the league still had many players like that. Now, for me, on the ball, Cameron Carter-Vickers is a level above both of them players, instantly. And I think when it comes to, he gets called the fridge and stuff, I think when you look at Cameron Carter-Vickers, Terry, when it comes to the physicality of the game, the old school side of it, like I'm referring to there, he brings that in abundance as well. He could do a job in that league. I know that's not Spurs that I'm talking about, but it's the freshest game in my memory. And when I looked at Tarkowski and Cody, I was very impressed by them both, by the way. Are they a level above Cameron Carter-Vickers? Absolutely not.
Aye, and that I watched a wee bit of that game yesterday, probably caught the second half of it, and you notice that manager bounce thing again. So obviously Lampard came in, the sexy signing, the big name, lost his job. Sean Dyche comes in, who was also linked with a move to Glasgow quite recently. And all of a sudden, Everton are able to get a result against an Arsenal team who were high-flying that I thought were going to go on and win this Premiership. After losing that game yesterday, I'm just not so sure. But that manager bounce is such a ridiculous thing as well. How does that happen so often? We were talking about Lenny earlier. Like if Lenny walked into Aberdeen tomorrow, you'd expect him to win. You'd expect him to win their next game.
But you wouldn't even be. You'd be shocked if they didn't. You'd be absolutely shocked if they didn't win it.
Exactly. How does that happen? That has to be on the players. How do those players all of a sudden, Everton, look at Everton, they couldn't buy a win. How do they go from not being able to buy a win to being able to beat a team who were absolutely flying, wiping all before them and looked like Premiership winners? They went and beat them, and they were worth it, to be honest. In the bits that I've seen, they were
It was an old school atmosphere as well. I like that. I've been good at it.
Yeah, but Goodison was always like that. Goodison was always a tough place to go. You're always going to get a blood and thunder performance from the home team, and your man gets it out of them after one game with the same players that were already there who couldn't do it for Frank Lampard. It's absolutely ridiculous. Here, boys, can I take you on a complete left field tangent here just when it's in my head?
Yes, please do. I love it. This is what we do.
I stuck it in the bus chat yesterday, but this was absolutely hilarious. So, Athletico Madrid against Getafe yesterday.
Yes.
I was watching it because it was the last leg of an accumulator that I had.
It's actually a new feature. Ladies and gentlemen, we're doing a new feature, Terry Robb's scouting report.
Atletico ballsed up my five-timer. But listen, this is brilliant, right? So Atletico score a goal. Linesman's flags up, clear offside, no issues. Substitutions, the player that scored the goal got took off. So he's in the dugout with his fucking jacket and all on and everything else, ice pack on the leg, all that stuff. By the time VAR comes back, they decide it's actually a goal. So the guy who's been subbed scored the fucking goal. So all the players on the pitch run over, pile into the dugout. Your man, he comes running out of the dugout and jumping on top of everybody.
That's amazing.
That's a quiz question. That is a quiz question. Who scored a goal but didn't celebrate until they were already substituted? Absolutely ridiculous. It was one of those 2 or 3 minutes looking at a VAR. It looked obvious. Now, it really did look obvious as if it was offside, but it actually wasn't. Whenever you played the recording and you got it all in the right time and everything, he was onside. But it was so funny. Everybody jumps in. Your man comes buzzing out. He doesn't even have his top on anymore. He's got the jacket on and everything. He scored the goal. It's so funny. Anyway,
well, I've got another wee talking point why I feel this league campaign is destined for Celtic, Terry, because yesterday I was working, I had the radio on, not TalkSport. I had a super scoreboard on yesterday because I don't need to listen to the full commentary of the game. I just like hearing what the results are around the country, right? And the more updates you were getting for Ibrox, from minute one, I'm hopeful, right? very hopeful. As the game goes on, that hope peaks at times, but they're going to drop points. Flip it, Terry, right? Flip it. If that's a Rangers fan listening to the same show when Celtic were playing away from home today, I don't even think they turn the radio on because they don't have that same hope. They don't have that same belief that Celtic are going to drop points. And that is the difference right now. No one wants to admit that is the truth. We're still, despite their run being very impressive on the eye, when you look at the results, I still think each one of their games, you are offered moments. The Hearts went away, maybe barring that. You are offered moments where you think they're going to fuck it up. I don't even think Rangers fans listen to the Celtic scores coming in at the time. I think they just check the result at full time and roll their eyes. That is when you know there's a difference between the two sides going for the title.
Yesterday, it goes from fixture to fixture. So yesterday, I didn't hold out any hope. So I wasn't. Sometimes I watch the games and sometimes I don't. I didn't watch yesterday. I was watching the Gillette Soccer Saturday, the scores coming through. When Jeff Stelling then goes, it's 1 each. I said, I might just switch over here and tune in and watch a wee bit. And I was watching it, and it wasn't one of those games where it was just shooting in, to be honest. But then when they got that goal, I don't know if you've seen it or not, it was the fluggiest goal ever. From a free kick, it hits the wall, and then it takes a massive ricochet, takes a spinning bounce, and goes in slow motion into the corner, probably off the post or fucking something. Just one of them goals that only Rangers score. And I just thought, do you know what? Fuck, I shouldn't have bothered. I don't even know why I bothered tuning in. But anyway, I got a message during the week, which probably explains how Rangers supporters are feeling right now. I got a message just from a guy at work. He just sent me a message through and he just goes, "You fuckers just never, ever let up at all, do yous?"
This is the point I'm making. This is it.
That's what I got. And I'm just going, if that's how you feel, that says a lot. He just goes, you are giving us absolutely nothing. Nothing. We can't make any dent in you whatsoever. There's never any stage where we as supporters think you're going to drop points.
Exactly what I'm saying. And I was thinking this.
Yeah.
I was thinking it yesterday. I went, it was quite dawned on me. I'm going to bring that up on the bus. I was like, because I am sitting there going, wait the fucking now. How come every time they play, I've got these wee moments where I think they're going to fuck us up. I mean, there's no way. There is no way in this earth when Celtic's playing, there's Rangers fans doing the same. Oh, as many. Might be the odd one.
I reckon there's boys. So overnight it's 6 points. I reckon there's boys who've been down the off license this morning, buying the car out and all to watch our game. Thinking St Johnstone away, we struggled. We lost there. We lost there before Christmas. I might get 12 cans instead of 6 here. This could be a good day.
Milk.
You know what I mean? We might be able to log into the on podcast later and watch those fucking two idiots fucking crying. Yeah, that kind of thing. But we're giving them absolutely nothing. If you tuned into one of our matches as a Rangers fan hoping for something, you'd fucking switch off after 10 minutes. Do you know what I'm saying?
There's a bit of banter in the live chat, right? You'll love this. This is a short story, Terry, right? So Brown Warriors came in, right? I can see every comment that comes up, right? So he says, Russell and Terry, who scored the first goal wearing Adidas Predator boots against whom? Not for the chat. So he's saying, obviously, wants me and you to play the game.
John Collins. Within
about 3 seconds. So look what he's putting capital letters. Not for the chat. Within 3 seconds. Right. Scott Cameron, John Collins.
John Collins at Ibrox in the silent game.
Brown Warrior, for fuck's sake. Scott.
I got that before you put the answer up, didn't I?
You did, mate. You did.
Am I part of the next Bhoycie Bus quiz team?
Oh, you could be, mate. You could be. You're in contention now, mate.
That was good, that night of the quiz. I was tuned into that. Connor McCann, he was sharp as fuck that night.
He was shit hot.
He was good.
I missed him on the bus. He was really good.
Lovely lad.
Very, very good. But that was just that was so
John
funny.
Collins, that was the day were Celtic fans banned from Ibrox for that game.
I think that was the one. Collins was a Rolls Royce. He was the player. I think when I was growing up that I wanted McStay to be, because Dad was just raving about Paul McStay. You don't understand. And when I started watching, my first memory of Paul McStay is missing the penalty against Wraith. And for then on, he was never obviously.
I was at that one.
Oh, and I was like, this football.
The only time I've been at Ibrox was that game. Celtic and Wraith played at Ibrox that year.
Well, Terry, I was like that. This whole football thing was maybe no for me. And why is it the team like I support, none of my pals support, right? None of them do. And we always get beat. And the guy you said is the best player in the history of the world ever, he's shy. He's missing against Raith Rovers. Obviously, I was 7 years old at the time. But I actually think, when I go back to that time, I think Collins was the boy. Do you know what I mean? Because McStay wasn't the same Paul McStay I don't think he'd been in years gone by, and the one that my dad was raving about anymore. Injuries had took their toll. But Collins was he was amazing, man.
I don't think
amazing.
Collins doesn't get the full credit, Bhoycie, that his talent deserved because he left on a Bosman. It leaves a sour taste for a lot of people. He left on a Bosman. He went to Monaco where he didn't have to pay tax or that kind
What's
of
a
thing.
player meant to do here, Terry, though? You tell me. You tell me you're gonna get offered in any job, you're getting offered 4 or 5 times your wage, and you're getting to work with the best people of that trade, no matter what is coming through. You joined a team that had Trezeguet, Henry, Barthez, Thuram, Petit. That's the team he was joining, and you want him to. It's not his gift, Terry, to negotiate some sort of fee for Celtic to get for his services. I mean, he didn't come up with the Bosman rule neither. Fans can be a wee bit harsh.
He didn't play in the Champions League final, Bhoycie, but they got to one, didn't they?
He did. He was in the semi-final. He was in the You're thinking of the one later on. They got to I think he got them to the Champions League semi-finals.
I think he played in a semi-final of Champions League.
Semi-final with Monaco, Semi-final Monaco, and then Walter Smith's first signing for Everton, or first or second signing for Everton was John Collins. That tells you everything you need to know.
John Collins played for Celtic for 6 years and only won 1 trophy.
I know.
If that's right, I think it's right.
Aye.
I think you only won 1 trophy in 6 years.
And that's another thing, though, as well. Your career's so short, Terry. Your career's so short. So when you get an opportunity to go to a Monaco and stuff, you can't blame these guys for when they get up. But I found it interesting that later in his career, Walter Smith, that tells you how highly he'd rated him as a rival. When he goes to Everton, he gets the opportunity to sign him. He could not wait. And then, of course, it goes full circle. And John Tigana, who he played with at Monaco, gets the Fulham gig, and his 33-year-old John Collins is his first signing for Fulham, and he wins Championship Player of the Year. Now, at 33, 34. So you think about that, the English second top flight, a player who wins the player of that league, you would normally think is a £20 million player nowadays. Do you know what I mean? And yet he was down there. That's today's market, obviously, values I'm giving, right? But you Ross McCormack cost 14 million in that league, for fuck's sake, right? But you look at John Collins winning that then at 34 years old, just strolling it, mate. Do you know what I mean? Then had one final season in the English Premier League. I think you've got fucking fair. He could obviously play, because that's pretty tough to be doing that. Do you know what I mean? When you're going into the EPL for the first time in your 30s, he was a player, man.
Boy, I'm really going to embarrass myself here. I used to go to a hairdresser, and massive Rangers fan, right? And I talked the other night about Bill McMurdo's house being decked out in Rangers gear like a mini Ibrox. This guy's hairdressing salon was decked out in red, white, and blue. And honestly, but I don't know how it happened, but I ended up going. It's probably because it was the only one in the town or something at one stage. But my mom always made me go back to him. But see, to be fair to the guy, he's dead and gone now. He was a massive Rangers fan, but he always made me feel like a king when I went into his hairdressers. And he actually used to bring down a portable TV to let me watch the cartoons when I was a wee kid, sitting on getting my hair cut. But anyway, as I grew older, we used to chat about Celtic and Rangers. And he took me upstairs one day, and the upstairs was where they used to hold the Rangers club meetings for the town that I live in. And there was a wee office bit, and it was red, white, and blue ribbons, and there was pictures all up around. And it was a wee bit intimidating, but also at the same time, I got off on it a wee bit, thinking I'm probably the only Celtic fan that gets to see this and gets to sit here. And
Neil Lennon's coming out, Terry.
Neil Lennon kind of, you're sitting there going, do you know what? I'm going to tell you what haircut I fucking want. I come down one day with a picture of John Collins sitting there absolutely bristling as he was, immaculate. I says, I want you to make me look like that. And he burst out laughing. He says, I can do the hair, but I can't fucking do the rest of it.
That's good.
John Collins, he was immaculate. Here's a funny one. Do you remember?
Just talk about John Collins very quick. The last thing, right? So yesterday we did a wee feature, right, on the on the Saturday sesh, and it was discussing what Celtic player of any era could have been a musician or in a band. And John Collins' name came up, and it was my voice is going. OMD, mate. The singer for OMD, I was honestly in stitches. Excuse me. Where's the old voice going? But I don't know. Do you even know who OMD are?
Never heard of him. Never heard of him. You all right there? You in ambulance?
No, mate. Just went to the wrong tube, you know.
That's that pie. That's that pie stuck in your throat.
I'm choking here. Right. We'll call it a day there, because I can't speak.
Are you? You call it a day?
I mean, you've all that stuff at the start. You know, they won't be playing Tina Turner on the coach on the way home, will they?
Some of his comments about me deliberately trying to cause controversy. Well, I work in the media now, and you've got someone sitting there next to you who's an embarrassment to the media profession. He's an apologist. He's a charlatan. He's a Rangers puppet. He's a cheerleader. That's what he is.